The Cheat 720 is a spinning kick which has about 360 degrees of vertical spinning followed by a hook kick. Cheat 720 is a cheat kick, which means that it takes off from this kind of spinning step with just one leg. This step is the cheat setup. The cheat step adds automatically 360 to the name of the trick, and in this case the other 360 is spun in the air. The non-variated Cheat 720 can be done in two ways: the easier, more beginner-friendly, non-pumped version, and the more advanced so-called double-pumped version. The latter is usually seen more since it allows for a better hip position and a bigger kick. It just makes the Cheat 720 stand out more. So, before you can start training Cheat 720, you need to be able to do a decent hook kick and preferably a spinning hook kick. This is really the only prerequisite for the Cheat 720. This is because everything else is learned with the steps provided in this tutorial. I would advise that before you start doing the steps, do a warm-up and make sure to train your dynamic flexibility. I personally usually do something like this for at least 4 sets of a minimum of 10 reps before I start doing any kicks. If you decide to do something like this, make sure to keep your legs tensed and use the muscles to lift the legs up rather than fully relying on the momentum. After you have warmed up, start practicing the cheat setup. Start out with your chest facing to your target. If you are right-handed, do the half turning step with your right leg, and if you are left-handed, do the step with your left leg. Of course, in different directions. I will show all the examples on both sides. After the step, spin a little bit further and lift your knee up. This is when you need to spot your target again. This is also when the takeoff happens. After this, you're gonna prep the non-pumped Cheat 720. After you understand the step and it feels easy, start doing a 360 spin after it, but don't jump yet. Basically, just get used to the spinning and the spinning position and add a hook kick in the end of the spin. The idea with this step is to get you to understand how much you need to spin before kicking and just to get used to the feeling of the motion. I would advise you to always outline and visualize your tricks if you can before you actually do them. This makes the learning so much easier. When you do this step, you might get really dizzy from the spin training, so make sure to take enough breaks. Doing a lot of spinning will get easier over time as your mind gets used to it. Next, learn to jump and spin without a kick. It's crucial that you can actually spin without kicking consistently before you attempt the actual Cheat 720. If your spin is uncertain, you will most likely always kick too early and develop a bad habit out of it. Make sure to spin as vertically as possible in the beginning and keep your jumping leg fully extended while the other leg stays bent and tight. Learn to use your arms to help with the spin. During this step, you should also optimally learn to spot your target 3 times in total. The first spot will be before you take your step, the second immediately before taking off, and the third as you land. Optimally, the spotting should always be done when you do a Cheat 720. If you struggle with completing the 360 degrees of rotation needed for a Cheat 720, start with just 180 or something like this and work your way up from there. Don't rush, just make sure to understand each step of the progression line. When 360 degrees of rotation is easy, add a late hook kick to it and work your way up to the Cheat 720 slowly but steadily. Kick earlier and earlier before landing, always focus mostly on the spin, and the kick is just a secondary factor until your spin just can't go wrong anymore. When you do this regular Cheat 720, it might be hard to do a good hook kick because the hip position you have during the spin is just not optimal. When you can do the regular Cheat 720, I would recommend starting to learn the so-called double pumped Cheat 720. The leg pump allows your hips to open up in a more favorable way for a hook kick. This way the Cheat 720 will look a lot bigger. So again, start learning the double pump without the kick. This is because it will just feel a lot different than your regular Cheat 720. Try to keep your both knees bent. Basically, the jumping legs knee does a little knee kick while the other knee is kept bent before the hook kick. This way you can extend it from a chamber. You wanna land with your hips tilted slightly sideways so you can drop your head a little as you do the hook kick. This allows you to kick higher without you needing to have so much flexibility. When you have practiced the non-kicking version enough, practice also the motion with one extra step on the ground. This is basically a tornado step over hook kick without the round that is included in the tornado usually. Do this low but fast and focus on making the hook kick big. Think about the leaning and tilting of the hips, which I talked about earlier. And once you're ready, do the double pump Cheat 720. If it doesn't work within like 5 tries, go back to the previous steps and drill them more. If the prerequisites are easy enough for you, you will not have very hard time with this. And when you can do the double pumped Cheat 720, I would say that you could learn jackknife next. It's just basically this double pumped Cheat 720, but you try to extend the round kick in between the spinning. But I have a separate jackknife tutorial also, so maybe check that out if you want. Anyways, this was the Cheat 720 tutorial. I hope you like it and I will see you in the next one.